Welcome back to SwitchCorner. Today we're going to be taking a look at Aryelle and the Secretive Seasons, a game that's channeling a more retro 3D action adventure vibe, not too far from that of Zelda, but can it deliver on what seems to be a promising premise? Well, that's what I'm here to find out, as I'll be covering story, gameplay, frame rate, graphics and audio. So with that luck, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here, join our growing family, and let's get started. So story and Aryelle immediately sets the tone, making it clear it's no doubt intended for a much younger audience than myself. It's got a soft approach to many of the topics it tackles, and even some of that feel-good messaging along the way. It is a decent enough story though. Basically, once an evil mage threatened the world of Valdi, he was defeated and sealed inside a vault. With this evil mage locked away, 4 heroes swore to keep guard and formed the Guardians of Seasons, a secretive and now elusive legend. Today though, the Seasons of Valdi are in disarray, so you as Aryelle, you set out on an adventure to assist the Guardians and work out what is causing the issue. You know, snow where there should be sunshine, sunshine where there should be snow. Well, I hoped for a bit more of a middle ground in its rating to target all ages. I'll say this, it's very simplistic. All in all though, it's also inoffensive stuff, and one you can play solo or with the family. So gameplay and the idea is simple: navigate this world, find the Guardians, solve some puzzles along the way, and even get into the occasional fight. Controls are as you would expect, you know, movement, jump, attack, lock on, and the elemental effects that are in the name attached to the D-pad. These are nearly always attached to puzzles of the game, as you find these beacons lying around that look like big old eggs. Let's say you use your winter attack near one of these though, there's a good chance ice platforms will appear. It's implemented decently enough, but I'd also say it's extremely simple and very predictable, as it's almost instantly from the beginning overused. Combat likewise, simple stuff, expect to attack as well as use a dodge roll and parry. This is where the problems begin. The fundamentals are here, but so often the lock-on in combat would get confused and miss entirely. The pace is also just super slow, and then just occasionally Aryelle would get stuck in an attack. She'd just be standing there with her sword held out. The enemies would still be attacking me, killing me, but I'd be waiting for her to get back to normal. This was until I realised probably the most glaring issue with this one. Combat is for the most part completely optional. You're not levelling up or anything else here, so why fight? At that point I proceeded to sprint past nearly every enemy I saw, wrapping up the game in around the 5-hour mark. The gameplay loop is literally get quest, fetch item, proceed to next quest, repeat. It has optional quests too, but to be fair, these are more of the same. Probably the best bit of gameplay is the very occasional dungeon you'll get to explore, but again, they're not gonna last long. Now when it comes to the frame rate then, this is the real kicker for Aryelle. It's a bit of a disaster honestly. While I will say the world is a decent size, this game is for sure not pushing the Switch hardware. At a peak you're going to be looking at about 32 frames per second, but that is a rarity. I'd put the average here around the 20 frames per second mark, going as low as anywhere from maybe 12 to 15 frames per second. Now maybe you're thinking, I bet there's a ton of enemies on screen. No, this is more like you're just walking through grass instead of on a simple dirt path. Really all it takes to make it tank through the floor. Now I will say this is obviously docked. I did end up trying it handheld as well, and it seems to solve this issue. So that's actually the way I ended up going through the majority of this one, because it was by far the most enjoyable experience. Overall, gameplay disappointing, not down to its simplistic nature, but the fact it is so unpolished. The combat system average at best. The puzzles expect to use an elemental special, and that's really about it. No brain power required. And then all the technical issues just top it all off. You know, getting stuck in the environment, one thing I hadn't mentioned yet, getting stuck in a pose, and a frame rate if you want to play docked that makes the game feel frequently like it's running in slow motion. I'm disappointed. This one had, well, in fact it has some real potential. Just give me solid performance. I don't mind simplistic when it's done well, and there's a fun game in here somewhere, I'm sure of it. Right now though, it's undercooked. It's one idea, these elemental powers that are then just simply overused. Graphically, it's got some good, well, maybe one good. I like some of the world we got to explore. They had some nice locations and the weather effects at times with the specials. They look decent, like an early example, unfreezing ice with the summer attack. That was until I repeated that same trick about 1,000 times. Sadly though, everything else around it just comes off extremely unpolished. repetitive buildings with very little to interact with, character models that barely move, in fact they look like plastic dolls, and then don't even get me started on the sheep. They are the stuff of nightmares, as they just stare into your soul ready to kill you. They're actually quite nice, but you would not guess that from looking at them. Finally then, like, textures are extremely low detail and popping is frequent with grass and anything really environmental based, normally popping in no more than a few feet away. I even had a glitch where I could see through a wall that was supposed to be a secret door, so that was maybe the worst kept secret ever. Finally, magical attacks, sparks from our swords hitting, constantly got stuck on my screen and I could just kind of walk around them. Perhaps the weirdest issue though, when you die the screen instantly just goes click black, and it took me a while to work out what the hell was happening. Why they didn't add like a falling over animation, I really don't understand. That's all it needed. I know you may be targeting kids, but I'm sure they could handle Ari just falling over. They went for budget DreamWorks and it does not land. Audio then is simple enough. A small amount of dialogue is then reinforced with some repetitive but inoffensive music and of course some sound effects. Think your jumps, your attacks, some minor like environmental work, you know, the spells and stuff. It's not bad, and honestly it's probably the best part of the package today, even if there's not a whole lot to it. Overall, Ari and the Secretive Seasons is a massive miss. It had a good idea, the use of the elements, but relied on that one thing to carry just the entire game, and it just does not work. Throw in then lackluster combat, some like average platforming, and a whole lot of performance issues, glitches, and yeah, we've got a problem on our hands here, or at least docked we do. Handheld, I will say, saves you from the frame rate. There's good in here, there's no doubt about it, and I enjoyed it a lot more once I realised that I could, you know, play handheld and not face like the slow motion, but they need a whole lot more time to iron out performance and a whole lot more on the creativity front before I can give it my recommendation. Young kids, I will say they'll no doubt find something in here to enjoy, but there's a ton of other games I'd recommend first, so just be nice to your kids. Today I'm going to be giving Ari and the Secretive Seasons a below average 4 out of 10, only if you play handheld. If you play docked, knock that immediately down to a bad 3 out of 10. Will you, or have you already added this one to your collection? Let me know in the comments below. If you have, let me know what you think of it. As always then, like a huge shout out to the patrons of the channel who are just going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. It helps more than you know, and I truly do appreciate it. With that, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.